And we are live. What's going on, YouTube Live? It is your boy, Billy Rowe. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. And if it is Wednesday, you should already know what that means. It's time for the Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Jumping straight into it. Tonight's topic is rewrite your programs. As always, I like to share what I mean by my topic. But before I go into what I mean about my topic, let me share some news, because if you got this notification on Facebook, you would have seen that I said this is the last Wednesday word of the year. I'm actually going to take 2 months off from the Wednesday word, just some time to recalibrate myself, make sure I'm in a healthy mental space, a healthy physical space, to be able to basically be ready to rock and roll for you guys in the new year. And then when the new year starts, we're going to do the Wednesday word on the first Wednesday of every month, except for the first Wednesday will be, because the first of January is the first Wednesday. So instead of doing a 1st of January Wednesday word, the next Wednesday word will actually be January 8th, 2020. So I hope you guys enjoy tonight's Wednesday word, because it'll be the last one that you get from me live. I mean, you can watch a couple of replays if you want to, but it'll be the last one you get from me live for the remainder of the year. So with that, let's jump into it. Tonight's topic is, again, rewrite your programs. And what I mean by the topic of rewrite your programs, number one, I said programs, which is a plural, not a singular, not rewrite your program, rewrite your programs. So realize we have multiple programs that we utilize. So I'm on a computer right now doing YouTube. I'm using the internet. I'm using Microsoft OneNote. There's tons of programs. I use Excel. I use Word. There's tons of programs that I use on the computer. And any one of those individual programs can have an error in it that causes the program to not function properly, or the program can get an update because of the fact that they have thought about some other things that they wanted to add, or other functionality that they wanted to add into the program. So when I say rewrite your programs, though I'm going to use a lot of technical computer terminology tonight, really what I'm talking about are our internal programs, our internal softwares that we have that really govern the actions that we choose, the choices that we make, the actions that we take, and those things in life that really overall impact the complete computer, which in our case is the body that we live in. So that's what tonight's topic is about. I hope you guys are ready. Let's jump straight into it. As always, I got the top 3 tools for the first row for you. Starting off with tool number 1, the very first tool that I came up with when it was coming into regards of rewriting the programs, or your programs, was examine your current software. A lot of times that we live in not even a lot of times. I feel like right now in this day and age, we live in a disposable environment where we get cell phones that we keep for 1 to 2 to maybe 3 years, and then we get a new upgraded cell phone. We get laptops that last for about 2 years, and then they're outdated and they don't run right. They're slow and they frustrate you. So you get rid of it and you get a new one. But because our environment is disposable, we don't often do a deep level of analysis like, oh, well, this phone that I have has these particular features, and this new phone that I'm going to get is going to have these features and these additional new features. We don't typically do that. We actually, 1 second, I thought my connection was a little slow. Nope, it's not. We typically will just say, oh, the new iPhone 11 came out. I'm going to get the new iPhone 11. Don't mind that the iPhone 11 is just a little bit smaller or a little bit slimmer, has pretty much the iPhone 10 functionality, or X, I don't know because I don't have iProducts, but might have the iPhone X functionality, but it's just the 11 now. And so there might be some minor tweaks that make it better, or you might lose some things that you kind of miss in that. So the first aspect, or the first tool about examining your current software, is really, from an internal or a human's perspective, is really trying to identify those trauma-based traditions, understanding if you have a strong foundation, and not just a strong foundation, because you can have a strong foundation in the wrong things and not want to change that foundation. Really what that means is you're being stubborn because you don't want to change what you're comfortable with. But if you have strong, healthy foundations, that might be a foundation you do want to protect. And instead of simply tearing the whole foundation out, you want to add to that or upgrade that. And then also the very, I think the important purpose of examining our software or examining ourselves is really about understanding that there's times when our files may get corrupted. where you go through a life experience. I mean, if you've been in a relationship, maybe where you've been cheated on, you're like, oh, I'll never trust men again. I'll never trust women again. And those are moments or experiences that we have where our files get corrupted and we start adopting really what it's I think it's called like free radicals in the immune system. We started adopting these free radicals that are coming in, and they're slowly corrupting our software to one day when you go to open an emotion of love or trust or empathy or sympathy, the file doesn't open properly, or the file doesn't open at all because it's so corrupted with life experiences that we have yet to examine, or that we never examined, that we didn't even know that the file corrupted. And now when we need it, we are now trying to open it, it corrupts. And so what do? You use some kind of bootleg file, some kind of bootleg software. So instead of using love, you use hate. Instead of using patience and understanding, you use frustration and aggravation. Like, you use the wrong software because of the fact that your software is corrupted. So it's really, 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 I can't stress enough, important that you examine your current software, and not just examine it today, but examine it frequently and often. So that way, you know that your software is healthy, it's running at its optimal performance, whether that's your mental capacity, your physical capacity, you're operating at your optimal performance level. And if you find that there is something that does need to be addressed, be willing to address it and fix the issue. I guess in the words of technology, be willing to find the virus, quarantine the virus, and then get rid of the virus. Don't just say, oh, well, that virus is there and I'm just going to keep surfing and giving out all my credentials and all my background passwords because I don't want to address the issue. Be willing to address that issue. So that's the very first tool. Examine your current software. The second tool, when it comes to rewriting your programs, I kind of didn't know if I wanted to go with the third tool first or the second tool first, but I decided to go with the second tool first. It comes down to hire coders. And so in the world of software, just in case you don't know the world of software, I'm going to give you a brief summary of what that is. In the world of software, let's say Facebook. Facebook has people who are called developers, software developers specifically. They will write language like, hi, this, do that, do this, do that, do this. And those coders, their job is to make sure that when you go as a user to Facebook and you click log into my profile, that it brings up the stuff for you to log into your profile, and then you get to your profile. That's their job. They are efficient at it. Now, there are people who have self-taught themselves how to be coders. There are people who have gone to school and become educated. There's people who've gotten on-the-job training and have learned how to be coders. All these people are definitely coders. However, when it comes to their languages that they speak, there's tons of different languages that you can use as a coder. And so just because they know how to code in one language doesn't mean they know how to code in every language. So you yourself inherently are, by default, your coder when it comes to the programs that you have inside, or what you're carrying internally, whether it's your moral compass, your character, or whatever it may be. You're the coder for that. We like to think, oh, well, you get it from your parents, and all these, like I said, trauma-based traditions are handed down and all these different things. But at the end of the day, as we approach adulthood, and once we have our own ability to discern logically what it is that we want and what it is we are doing, and if those things don't line up and we don't correct it, at some point, we're the ones writing the new code. So the reason why I say hire coders is because if this is an area that you're reflecting on that doesn't fit your expertise or doesn't fit a language that you're familiar with, say you grew up in a household where there wasn't a lot of physical affection shown. And so now you're trying to figure out how to be physically affectionate. And I don't mean like in the sexual nature, but like just simply holding hands and giving a kiss or hugging, or, or even audibly affectionate, saying I love you, or saying have a nice day, be safe, those types of things. You might need to bring somebody in. Now, just because I say hire a coder, it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to bring a physical person in. That could be brought in the manner of a book. I actually, for myself, when I started learning how to write in Visual Basics, I bought a book. I didn't know how to write in it, but I was like, I think there's something out there. I think there's love out there. I think there's something out there that I can use to write this code. So I'm going to go out there and find a book. So that's one way you can hire a coder. The other way is you can get a mentor. Maybe you don't go to school. Maybe you don't self-teach yourself, Maybe you don't have on-the-job training, but maybe what you do is you get a mentor and you say, hey, look, I see that you're successful in this language. I see that you're successful in understanding this particular behavior. I just recently got off the phone with a friend who was asking me about behaviors of men. Hey, what does it mean when a man does this? Well, I can't speak for all men, but I could say typically when a man does this every single day or does this constantly out of nowhere, when I say constantly out of nowhere, meaning they didn't do it and now all of a sudden out of nowhere they're doing it, what it typically means is they're trying to display some sort of interest, some sort of deeper interest. It may not be physical, it may be physical, but there's some level of interest that's there that they're trying to convey and connect with you on. That's simply just hiring a coder. It's not something that, oh, I'm going to stick with you for this on the rest of your life and walk you through this process step by step, but it's hiring a coder who can give you a perspective of a situation that they are familiar with. The other way is strictly going to professionals, whether it's going to get counseling to better understand what your programs are. Hey, why is it that every time that my birthday comes around, this used to be something for me. Every time my birthday comes around, I'm grumpy, I'm depressed, I'm stressed, and I'm not happy about the occasion of my own birth. And it took going to a professional to have a conversation to say, hey, look, this is what's taking place. And your mind has attached a memory, an unfortunate memory, to your own birthday. And so you go back to the emotions that you felt at that time, because it's almost like an anniversary, and the anniversary is superseding my birthday. And then last but not least, and maybe this is probably first but not last, I'm going to say, is having healthy friends, having people that you can go and vent to in a healthy manner who are going to actually help you problem solve. Those are some of the best coders. Right now, I'm currently in a space where I am analyzing my own friend base, like my own tribe, and saying, okay, is this person healthy for my tribe? Is this person healthy for my tribe? This person's a little off for my tribe. I think I need to move you out of my tribe. This person's spot on. You're going to stay. This person I need to reach out to today because they are an absolute value to my tribe. And I want to make sure that I keep that connection strong. So healthy friendships is also another way of hiring coders that will help you get through those moments of reflection that you need when it comes to rewriting your programs. So that's tool number 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Tool number 3, and the final tool when it comes to rewriting your programs, is save changes. Man, so I don't know how many of you have ever been writing a paper for school. Hey, what's going on, Raymond? I don't know how many of you guys have been writing a paper for school, and when you go to like save it, or let's say your battery on your laptop is low and you don't get an opportunity to save it, and it just shuts down and crashes and your computer restarts, and all that work that you've done, all that progress that you made, even if you're procrastinating, is gone, and you have to start all over. Or even worse, if you had a paper that was given to you and it had tons of revisions by your professor, and it said you need to change this. And so you open that up and you're now making all the changes have been made, and then you don't get a chance to save and the file crashes. What happens the next time you open that file? What happens is you're right back at the beginning, either a blank template if you were starting the first paper, or a paper without the corrections that have been made. This is meaning all the examination that you've done on your current software has been lost, meaning all the work that you've done with mentors, friends, with professionals, and through books, trying to gain knowledge on having a certain level of emotional intelligence, all that work is lost because you didn't take the time to save it. And in many ways, this has been what the Wednesday Word has been for me personally. It has been a way for me to document the lessons that I am learning in my own life experiences, and really forcing me to focus more deeply on the experiences that I'm having, instead of just being reactive and saying, oh, well, I don't like how that felt, so I'm done with that. It's like, okay, I don't like how that felt, but instead of being done with it, I want to roll it around a little bit to find out why I don't like how that felt. And that may mean I have to revisit some of those painful memories. That may mean I have to revisit some of that frustration. But once I have a better understanding of it, what it does for me is it gives me the ability to say, wow, okay, here's the lesson that I can take from that. Here's the new language of code that I can take from that. And so saving the changes is really, really crucial when it comes to rewriting your programs, because it doesn't matter if you rewrite all your programs and everything spick and span. The moment you don't save those spick and span programs, those spick and span behaviors, the moment you don't save those, they are gone, and you are right back to the drawing board. And how easy it is to sometimes save, sometimes they'll say copy number 1 and copy number 2 will say your rough draft, and then your second draft, and maybe your final draft. Sometimes it's easy to go back to that first draft because you're so comfortable with it. Sometimes it's easy to go back to those old behaviors, those old programs, because we are so comfortable with them. And it's like, I know how to work with this one a lot better. It's no different than if you get, for instance, right now we're using Office 365 in our office. Well, I really like the previous form of Windows that I was on, and I'm not really a fanatic of Office 365, but it's being that I don't have a choice to go back, I have to learn how to use the new technology, the new software. If I had the choice to go back, and when I still had the choice to go back, I was definitely using the old software. But now that I'm in a place where it's like, okay, you got to move forward and you can't move back. Now I don't even have the temptation of clicking back the old software, to click back the old behavior, because it's not available. And so make sure that not only are you overwrite some of your old programs, or completely replace them, upgrade them. Because what will happen is you will find that just like in software, as software progresses, there's certain, I forget what the word is. I forgot the word, but there's certain vulnerabilities that a software can have, or an older software can have, that have been repaired in the newer software. There's certain vulnerabilities that you open yourself up to if you're not currently rewriting your programs, if you're not analyzing your programs, if you're not examining them and making sure that you have the up-to-date things that you need, whether it's legally, whether it's relationship wise, whether it's physically. Make sure you have the things that you need. So, and once you get those things, be sure that you save them. And realize also, the older your software gets, and this is like the older we get, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to open those files. And I know you probably clicked a file once and you've waited and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. Sometimes we don't use files, or if we save too much stuff on one version of a file, one version of a behavior, it takes longer for us to interact with newer behaviors. It takes longer for us to say, okay, here's the new behavior that I want to start using going forward. And I'm saving that as the behavior that I want to use. But because I say I'm saving it, doesn't mean that immediately I'm no longer using the old behavior or the old patterns that I'm comfortable with. So that's what the Wednesday Word is about today: rewriting your programs, rewriting your behaviors, so that you, and I'm not just going to say rewriting, and also upgrading your behaviors and deleting behaviors accordingly. But as always with the Wednesday Word, I like to share a personal story with you, something that kind of got me thinking about behaviors in general, and really got me thinking about the tools that I've used in rewriting my own programs. And this is a story where I'm kind of getting it right, but I'm still getting it wrong. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm never going to be perfect. So I hope you guys are okay with that. But it has to do with having a temper. So a lot of people meet me and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy is like super chill, easygoing, talk to anybody. They call me the mayor at my job because I build rapport with a lot of people. However, that doesn't mean that I don't have a temper, and I know that I have a temper. Fortunately, my temper has grown to be, or has not grown. It has shrunken, or has receded a little bit. So as it has receded, I now am a little more logical in my approach to frustration, anger, and managing those things. But this past weekend, I had the opportunity to engage with my temper. I had a great opportunity. Not really in the word of great, but I had an opportunity to engage with my temper. And one of the things that really stuck in tool one when it comes to examining your current software, I had to examine this temper because I knew that I was going to go from temper to temper tantrum. And so I'm okay with like being frustrated and saying, okay, I feel like I want to have a temper. That's normal. Being angry, being frustrated, those are normal emotions. And I'm not saying that you ever need to suppress those. However, throwing temper tantrums at 38 going on 39, that's abnormal to me. So I started examining my software, examining the behavior, and I realized I had an elevated voice. So that lets me know I'm frustrated, I'm agitated, and I really try to work, not that I'm always good at it, but I really try to work that whenever I'm angry or frustrated, not to raise my voice and not to cuss at people. I might use curse words, but I'm not like you are this, or you are that, or how could you be this? It's more like, I don't believe this stuff, whatever it may be. So the elevated voice was the first thing that I examined. The second thing was, as I started examining my poor word choice. I'm a very articulate person. I have not like a high level college vocabulary, but I have a pretty good vocabulary. So when it comes to expressing how I feel or what I'm thinking or getting a point across, my ability to articulate that is pretty good. So when I start experiencing these poor word choices or repetitive word choices, what I'm finding is the frustration is starting to take over my logic center. And so now I have an elevated voice. Now I'm not using the right words. And then the last thing is I start to alienate myself, or I start to alienate my role in the frustration. I start feeling feelings that say this frustration is directly because of you, only because of you, and nothing to do with me. So examining that software gave me the ability to say, okay, I'm not in a position right now mentally to where I can pull myself out of the frustration and out of this victim mentality of I had nothing to do with this role. So I had to get off the phone. Like I was like, okay, I gotta go because I can't be productive in this conversation. The second thing I had to do was hire my coders. I had to talk to a couple of friends and really start to, even in my frustrated state, really start to say, okay, this is what's happening. I can't believe this is what's happening. It makes no sense that this person has done this. And as I started digging into that, they were like, okay, well, let's talk about solutions. This is why I say it's important to have, if you're going to hire people that are friends that you want to vent to, it's important to have people that are healthy in your tribe that can say, okay, great. I hear your emotions. I understand your frustrations. Yeah, it wasn't the best decision, but the decision has already been made. Let's move forward with the solution. Those are the type of people you want in your corner. At least those are the type of people I want in my corner. So hired my coders, talking to my friends. I didn't read any books. I didn't call any professionals. I didn't do anything like that. Didn't call a mentor, but just interacted with my friends. And then it came to saving the changes. And the saving the changes part is a tricky part for me because the way the saving of the changes came was through a Wednesday word that I did probably 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember the date on it now. I did 2 or 3 years ago, but it was a Wednesday word called resentment is a choice. And here I am, I'm caught up in my frustration, my agitation, my anger, my pettiness and everything else. And here my Facebook comes up with this, hey, remember this video you did on resentment being a choice? Do you remember that? Hey, is that you there, Tiger? That's you, right? And so it really started to hold me accountable to say, dang, I saved those changes to the behavior that I wanted to produce, the behavior that I wanted to interact with when I'm in these situations. And so here I am, I'm frustrated and I feel validated to hold on to it. And I hear my own voice, my own saved changes saying, hey, resentment's a choice. And I watched the video and I was like, man, I got to let this go. I didn't let it go like poof, it was gone. No, I was still agitated, still frustrated, but it put me in a place where I then started seeing in the software, oh, here's the choices you made that caused some of this situation. Here's the decisions or the actions that you took that caused some of this situation. So where you're frustrated and it's all about the other person, take some ownership of that. And by taking some of that ownership, it put me in a place to say, you know what? We both played this particular role in this situation. I played the beginning role that puts you in the position to play the role that you're playing today that's frustrating me. And so being able to get from that point to that point was really about saving those changes and then interacting with those changes and saying, oh yeah, the last document I saved was not throw a temper tantrum, Billy. The last document I saved was resentment as a choice. And if you want to continue to hold that resentment, realize that resentment is going to hurt you more than it ever will hurt the person that you are resenting. And so that is what this really drove this Wednesday word for me, drove it home for me, was about rewriting programs and saving those programs. So that way you have an archive that you can go back to, not the old behaviors that you're going to naturally want to fall back into because they're comfortable, they're easy. One of my counselors used to call it familiar shit. Like It stinks. You don't like to be in that, but you're going to roll around in it because it's familiar. But saving behaviors that you truly want to interact with and the person that you truly want to be, so that when you have the opportunity to go back and use a behavior or use a characteristic, it's there for you to pull on. And that's what this Wednesday word is about overall for this one. But that's what the Wednesday word period from the beginning to now has been about, is about saving information in a place to where really, if my children want to go back and watch a Wednesday word, if my friends want to go back and watch a Wednesday word, guess what? If I need to go back and watch a Wednesday word, it's there, and I can pull on that software and even look at how maybe my mindset has changed on certain topics over the years. That is what the Wednesday word has been about. So with that, I hope you guys have enjoyed the last Wednesday word of the year, 2019. I will see you guys again in January 2020 on January 8th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Wednesday Word series. It's something that I definitely enjoy doing. I love interacting with you guys in the chat. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. But until the next time that I see you guys, if you like this video, please share it. Share the channel even while I'm not there. There's tons of videos on the First Row network on YouTube. So share the channel. You can go back and revisit anything that you want to visit. Learn as much as you can learn from my mistakes from others, and the successes from my success and successes of others. Learn what you can learn, apply what you can apply. And I look forward to seeing you guys next year. Until then, one love, peace, and God bless. Thank you for sitting on the First Row.